I've been working on a red versus blue theory that spans the entire RVB series, and I started with an analysis of a fan theory about Agent Florida and how he faked his death. Next I made a theory about time travel and how it's always existed in the show. And then a video about how it happened. Next was my Yellow Church video, and then my theory on how Gary knew about the prophecy. Then I did how the first prophecy played out in Season 3, 4, and 5. Then I continued by explaining how Meta and Wash were involved in the prophecy. And then how the prophecy restarted with Season 6 being the real windmill, Season 7 being the real burning plains, Season 8 connecting all of the trials of the prophecy, setting up the real swamp and freezing plains. My next episode is going to be about how Season 9 and 10 factor into the real prophecy, but for now, I'm going off on a detour. My first episode, the Florida mix-up, covered the way fans saw a fate of a character that I thought was kind of ridiculous. And this episode is somewhat of a part 2, where I'm going to cover the fan theory about Mickey and answer the question, is he real? So basically this whole thing starts with Church in Season 1, explaining to the Blues about when he was stationed on Sidewinder. Basically what happened was, him and his friends Jimmy and Mickey were out on patrol, and then Tex showed up and killed all the Blues at the base, including Mickey and Jimmy. Jimmy of whom she ripped his skull out of his head and beat him to death with it. Basically after that, that was the origin story until Season 10 came along and showed that Mother of Invention crashed on Sidewinder because Tex was leading a bunch of freelancers against the director to save the Alpha Church. And after it failed and the ship was built into a base, obviously the red and blue base were set up that Jimmy and Mickey were at, the red base that Sarge later says he was at. People wonder what the order of events were because we see the director and counselor talking about how they're going to relocate Alpha from that crashed ship to Blood Gulch. And they make it look like it was an instant thing, like as soon as the ship crashed and they recuperated, they sent him to Blood Gulch. Then once Season 14 came out, we got a trilogy of prequel episodes to the Blood Gulch Chronicles showing how Captain Flowers built the blue and red teams as the fake bases to hide the Alpha at. We see him recruit Griffin Simmons from a failed mission that they went on. Sarge gets recruited because of a fight to the death between him and a bunch of other potential sergeants, and Sarge prevails. And then we see Private Jimmy. His role in this whole thing is he's going to play as the body while they implant Alpha into his head and have Alpha take over his body. This whole time, we don't even know that Jimmy is the body that Church is in Season 1. That raises a few other questions, and so I got on the internet and I was looking on Wikipedia to figure out, more information than I may have missed to figure out how this could be working, and I saw that apparently it says that Mickey doesn't exist. It's trying to say that that whole scene on Sidewinder where Tex showed up and killed Jimmy and Mickey and the other Blues never happened. And to me, that's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, there's a few questions on that whole thing, but just straight up saying a character doesn't exist when the show didn't say he didn't exist is just kind of ridiculous to me. It's like when everybody was saying that all the time travel in Season 3 didn't happen because of the simulations. It's like, yeah, the time travel may not have happened even though I think it did, but you can't just go ahead and discount the fact that a good deal of the show never happened without the show saying it never happened. Like, I feel like that's gypping us of lore in the show and good characters and good events. Instead of just cutting all that from the lore and losing stuff, there's always a better way of explaining it. And here's how I see it. Mickey exists. And he exists because of this. When the ship crashed on Sidewinder, what happened was they had Agent Florida fake his death, change his name to Captain Flowers. They sent him to recruit soldiers to set up the blue base and the red base in Blood Gulch. While that's going on, while he's looking for people, I say the scene on Sidewinder happened, where Church and Jimmy and Mickey were there. But let's say Church wasn't there because Church was put into Jimmy's head, and so he could have very easily acquired some of Jimmy's memories. That's why Tex didn't take him or kill him in that memory, because he wasn't there. He's watching the events. Mickey was killed by Tex. Jimmy didn't get killed with his own skull. They explained that in the trilogy episodes in Season 14, where when they're implanting the AI into his head... Ah! What are you doing to my skull? Ah! That doesn't seem physically possible! That's why I don't think they should just discount that whole scene as never having happened, because that's just information that we could have for the characters' backstories that we don't need to get rid of. There aren't really contradictory details there. Simply, Jimmy just survived getting his ass kicked by Tex. He was picked up by Florida and brought in to be implanted with the AI. Another piece of evidence saying that this possibly happened was the fact that York says in Season 10 in his logs to Delta that Tex has been running from base to base, freelancer operation to freelancer operation, attacking and then fleeing. This could easily be the first instance of it, because she fled the ship on Sidewinder when it crashed. She has to find a way to get off the planet, and so she just runs by those bases and kills those soldiers, possibly looking for a ship or something. There's also the fact that Sarge in Season 1 said that he was stationed on Sidewinder.
They're definitely special ops. I ain't seen troop movements this coordinated since my days on Sidewinder. Sir, are you okay?
And he recognized the maneuver of Tex attacking their base on Blood Gulch as a maneuver similar to the ones on Sidewinder. So he saw the events of Mickey getting killed and Jimmy getting his ass kicked. And then, once Jimmy got his ass kicked and survived, he's salvaged by the director and Project Freelancer. And once he's implanted with the AI, Sarge is also brought to the base where Florida is trying to find a good sergeant for Red Team. One last thought on the matter is, if Church was implanted into Jimmy's head, and he has some of Jimmy's memories, we know the director has a fondness for his wife very heavily, Allison, and he loved her for a reason. So it wouldn't make sense to me that Church has memories of Tex cheating on him and stealing his money and being an overall terrible person to him without the AI. Yeah, she's kind of a bitch from time to time, but all the cheating and the stealing and stuff doesn't really fit with the whole idea that the director saw her so fondly. So, is it possible that Jimmy's girl back home is cheating on him and stealing money from him? Just a thought. It is aggravating that so many fans just kind of discount certain chunks of the timeline just because certain things may not make sense. I feel like there's always an easier explanation instead of just saying, oh, that entire chunk never happened. I feel like you're really missing out and really cheating yourself of a good show. On a similar note, if anybody could change this whole Mickey thing on the Wikipedia, that'd be awesome. I tried to change too many things on the Season 15 Wikipedia, and I guess they've blocked my ability to do so now. So, I guess we'll see how that goes.